Protect the biohazard container at all costs.
Welcome, I'm Ryan from Blood Orchid Gaming, and this is a different video than what I normally make. As you can see from the title of this video, I'm going to be going over my thoughts and whether or not you should purchase any of the 3 new operators that were released in the White Noise update. Now, going into this, I'm going to make a few assumptions about you as a player. First off, you obviously don't have the season pass because you didn't have the operators already. But secondly, I'm assuming that you want to play this game at least somewhat competitively, because if you're not playing this game at least somewhat competitively, then why are you even watching a video like this? You're just going to be out there playing the game. So I will start out talking about Zofia because we already have her counterpart, Ella, that was released at the beginning of last season. So let's start out with Zofia. She is the Grom attacker, and personally I think that she is the best of the 3 characters released with the White Noise season. Her ability is strictly better than Ash's because besides allowing you to shoot explosive rounds out of a grenade launcher, she can also switch over and fire 3 concussion rounds that actually bounce. So it is a strict upgrade over Ash's equipment, and on top of that, her weapon has almost no recoil and is one of the highest damage output assault rifles in the game. Although she does also have an LMG that some people can find useful, but I just wouldn't recommend to anybody over the assault rifle that she has. To make things even better, she has the same pistol that Ella has, meaning that it's one of the only handguns to actually have a sight on it. So that's another big plus side. And she even has passive abilities that they don't really tell you about in-game. They do tell you about her ability to withstand, meaning if she goes down, she can actually pick herself back up with 1 health point left, but she has another almost more helpful ability that they don't even talk about, and that's the ability for her to recover 50% faster than other operators, and this goes for any sort of concussion device, such as a concussion grenade or Ella's mines, anything like that. She can actually recover 50% faster. And the big downside that Ubisoft gave her to offset all of this great stuff is that she's a 2-speed, 2-armor operator instead of a 3-speed, 1-armor operator, which doesn't sound like that much of a downside to me. Overall, I think that Zofia is actually the best of the 3 operators that are released with White Noise, and I recommend that everybody that looks at her unlocks her. Now let's move on to the South Korean operators that were added in White Noise, starting out with the Defender, Vigil. And his special ability is a special cloak that allows him to be invisible to both drones and enemy cameras. Pretty much if he has his ability activated, the enemies cannot see him. Although to counteract that, he does give off a sort of effect on the cameras that would have seen him, so you can pretty easily tell where he is if you have some decent map knowledge and you find out where those effects are kind of coming from. Now, when you play Vigil, it feels like he's supposed to be kind of a Caveira replacement, but he doesn't do a very good job at it. Like I said, when his ability is activated, you can see wherever he really is, and to make it even worse, his ability affects anything vertically too. So say you are in a 3-story building and you are on the top floor and you activate Vigil's ability, a drone down on the 1st floor will be able to get that effect on their camera too, so you are actually able to track Vigil kind of easily because of where his where the camera effect goes, and if you have map knowledge, you can kind of guess where a roamer would go on the map. On top of that, his ability stops anytime you really do anything, such as putting down barbed wire, putting up a barricade reinforcement on a wall, or if he's firing his gun. There's just a myriad of things that you could do that causes the cloak to deactivate. On top of that, whenever the cloak is activated, IQ is able to track him with her ability, And Thatcher's EMP grenades are actually able to disable the cloak as well. So all of that just leads to a bunch of downsides to an ability that isn't actually all that helpful in the long run. To offset his really terrible ability, he does have two pretty decent primary weapons. One of them is miles better than the other one, though. I'll start out talking about the worst of the two, the BOSG 12.2 shotgun. You've probably seen it already. This is the new slug shotgun that does almost as much damage as Glaz's weapon, but the downsides for this gun are pretty quickly apparent. It only has 2 shots, and if you miss those 2 shots, then you're going to have a pretty bad time, because the reload is not the quickest thing in the world. On top of that, it usually takes 2 shots to kill somebody, so if you run into a room and there's 2 attackers there, then you're kinda screwed. This gun does have a few upsides, though. It can shoot through castle walls, so you can create kind of a little kill hole there, and it can also shoot through the windows on plane, so you can create a little kill hole there as well. Although those upsides don't really counteract how bad the rest of the gun is. So what most everybody is going to be using is his K1A submachine gun. And this is a really, really good submachine gun. In fact, when I first used it, I actually thought that it was an assault rifle, similar to Jaeger's. But this gun is just amazing. Almost no recoil, it handles beautifully, it puts down people quickly, and it is easy to acquire targets with it. It is just one of the best submachine guns in the game. Sadly though, that one good gun does not recover the rest of the downsides for this character, and overall I think that pretty much everybody should just avoid Vigil. He's just a way worse version of Caveira. So let's move on to the South Korean attacker Dokkaebi. Now, Dokkaebi is a 2-speed, 2-armor operator that actually has 2 special abilities. The activated one is called the Logic Bomb. That is where she's able to call all the cell phones of the defenders, and they make this vibrating sound. And it's actually pretty easy to tell where defenders are from your general location, and it takes a little bit to actually turn that sound off, so you can use it before you're getting ready to breach a room, and it helps the attacking team kind of figure out where everybody else is. And her other special ability is once somebody has killed a defender, she can go up to the defender's phone and hack it, which allows the attackers to use all of the cameras that the defenders had access to before. This gives you a lot of information for your team. The only real downside to those abilities is the fact that Echo is immune to her logic bombs, and his drone Yokai can't be used as a hacked camera while he's out. That's due to some story reasons, and it kind of makes sense, but not really. But that's really the only big downside that her abilities have. So let's go on to talking about her guns. Now, she does have access to the BOSG 12.2 shotgun, but like I said with Vigil, you're not really going to be using that. Instead, you're going to be using her MK14 EBR marksman rifle. And I have to say, after using it for a while, this is the best marksman rifle in the game. If you use something like Blackbeard's or Twitch's, this is just better than that. It has really good damage. It can down someone in 2 to 3 hits, kill them in just a single more. It has a low recoil. It has a fast fire rate. This gun is just as good as you would want a marksman rifle to be. In fact, like I said, it's the best marksman rifle in the game, in my opinion. Now, I almost forgot to talk about secondary weapons. Both her and Vigil both have the same secondary weapons. They both have access to a C75 auto, which is a machine pistol, but you won't be using that because they have access to the SMG-12, which is a kind of a submachine gun as a secondary. On the SMG-12, you can put a grip, you can put a sight, and it just ends up being one of the best submachine gun pistols in the game. The SMG-12 also has a really high rate of fire to counteract the low damage that each individual bullet does. And it does tend to hop around a little bit if you continue to fire it in fully automatic, but in burst this gun is perfect. Overall, if you like gathering information and being just a general nuisance to the enemy team, Dokkaebi's right up your alley. Do know, though, that she's mostly a support operator. You're not really going to be running in there and shooting up the place most of the time. You're going to be one of the last people to really go into an area just because of how powerful her information gathering abilities are. Most teams want to keep her alive and towards the back of the group. And that is pretty much all that I have to say about her. So yeah, that's been this video. I hope to do one for each of the seasons as I continue to play this game. I wanted to do one for Blood Orchid, but I just didn't get the video out in time, so I ended up just not releasing that video. To kind of give a quick recap, do buy Zofia if you want a new attacker. Do buy Dokkaebi if you want a new another new attacker, but just avoid Vigil no matter what. His role is better played by Caveira, and there's no real reason to play Vigil, even though he does have a pretty cool weapon. So that is it for this. Remember, I'm Ryan from Blood Orchid Gaming, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.